New this morning, continuing our WRAL weather alert day because a flood watch issued through 2 a.m. Tuesday. We'll break down the timing for the heaviest rain coming up in a few minutes.
And we've already seen some flooding. In fact, our team is on the ground in Wilson as parts of a neighborhood there were flooded. We're going to explain how cleanup's going so far.
Well, as new from the WRAL breaking news tracker, power restored to hundreds of customers that were impacted early this morning in Franklin County. We're going to hear from some residents out there.
And political assassination suspect caught. What we know about the man police say was behind the deaths of a Minnesota lawmaker and her husband, and the impact felt in the Triangle.
Boy, we have a lot of news to get to here on your Monday morning. Meteorologist Chris Michaels with us on this WRAL weather alert day. Chris, we're seeing a lot of flooding, especially in Wilson.
Yeah, Wilson County, right on the Nash County line. That's where those rain gauges filled up quickly overnight. And the weather alert day continues because we see more storms after about 4 or 5 p.m. Flooding the main issue, but because of how waterlogged the ground is, even a 30-mile-an-hour wind gust could do some localized damage, too. Much of central and eastern North Carolina under at flood watch until 2 a.m. So here we are, lunchtime, maybe a stray shower. Again, 2 or 3 p.m., it looks like 30% of the area seeing some storms. But beyond the evening commute, that's when we expect the most storms to be moving through, right along a stalled front. So we see a similar case where there's some heavy rain moving over the same areas, mostly near and to the south of I-40 this evening. And then as we head toward tomorrow morning's commute, things will start to turn drier. Out the door this morning, it is sticky out there. Right now, temperature 74 to 78. Cary's at 75, Fuquay and Clayton at 75 as well. And in less than 10 minutes, we'll show you when the heat index goes above 100 degrees. That's coming up in a few.
All right, Chris. Happening now in the WRAL traffic center, congestion beginning to build on some of our major routes, including the Beltline, the northern loop of the Beltline coming off those I-87 lanes, Capitol Boulevard, Six Forks Road, that line, and of course the southern loop of the Beltline. They're beginning at Lake Wheeler Road, and this is what it looks like, courtesy of our live cam network. Those are the westbound lanes moving away from us this morning. In terms of other routes coming into the capital city, I-40 westbound, that southern loop, you're looking at a 7-minute delay. You're coming in from Johnston County, no delays whatsoever. Also, if you're heading west using Wade Avenue. Other routes coming into the capital city, very little to no delays really to speak of, which is really good news this time of the morning. Over in Durham, similarly, very little to no delays if you're heading into the capital city. We are monitoring this crash on I-40 eastbound this morning. You're looking at an 11-minute delay. Keep an eye on that and let you know how much that's going to continue to affect your morning commute. In terms of I-885 heading in and out of Durham this morning, you're going north on I-885, you're looking at a 5-minute delay. If you're coming out of Durham this morning trying to get to I-40 using I-885, you're looking at a 3-minute delay. You're getting ready to head out the door. Tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3.
Ken, thank you. Well, the rain is leaving some places in our viewing area underwater right now. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey is on Starship Lane in Wilson. Kelsey, are you seeing any progress at this point?
Yes, Laura, we are. Just within the last 30 minutes, we're seeing even more of this water receding here on Starship Lane. So we were able to speak with a few neighbors who live in this area. They say that it's common for Starship Lane to flood whenever it rains, but this is some of the worst they've seen in a while. We were able to speak to one woman who you'll hear from in the next half hour, say that she's running really late for work at this point, an hour behind schedule because of this flooding that's here in her neighborhood. Now, our meteorologist team says that there has been anywhere between 2 to 5 inches of rain in parts of Wilson, Edgecombe, and Nash counties. So we'll be sure to keep you updated on the progress that's happening here. We saw some city crews arrive a little while ago, so we'll let you know what we see. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News. I'm in Wilson County.
Now, we have seen some improvements in terms of storm aftermath elsewhere as power has returned for hundreds of people in Franklin County after an hours-long outage. Let's go to Ali Kadlabar, the WRAL breaking news tracker. Ali, things were in the dark for a while there, but again, power back on.
Yes, and just in the past hour, we've learned that about 870 customers' power was restored. And this all happened early throughout the morning. Take a look at this video from the WRAL breaking news tracker showing utility crews tracking down the cause of this outage around 6 this morning. Now, we did speak with Tony Holmes, a resident here in the area who was one of those customers impacted by this outage, and he said it inconvenienced him all morning.
Oh man, I'm late for work, but it's okay. I put time in for it. Had to feed my dogs and give them water. They're gonna be off schedule, so let's hope we come back to a clean house. So yeah, pretty much all my morning.
Yeah, just one of, again, 870 customers that had to deal with this power outage for hours. It started around 2:30 this morning, now restored, luckily. And we know the cause of that outage is fallen trees or limbs that damaged some of that equipment. Of course, we're still working to learn the impacts of this outage as well. Reporting in Franklin County, Ali Kadlabar, WRAL News.
A man accused of political assassination in Minnesota is expected to be in court today. Shortly before midnight, authorities provided an update on what led to his arrest. Authorities say they found Vance Bolter after locating an abandoned car he was thought to have used after the attacks in a rural area about 50 miles southeast of Minneapolis and just minutes from his home. And then after a tip from a resident, they were able to track him in some nearby woods.
There's no question that this is the largest manhunt in the state's history. Just down at the scene where he was taken into custody, there was 20 different SWAT teams over an extremely large area hunting this individual down to take him into custody.
Bolter is accused of killing State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband, Mark, a Raleigh native. He's also accused of injuring State Senator John Hoffman and his wife in a second shooting. Now, the loss of Melissa and Mark Hortman is hitting people in our viewing area. Mark Hortman is from Raleigh and attended Millbrook High School, UNC Chapel Hill, and NC State. WRAL spoke with one of his former high school classmates. A.J. Richards recalls one of the last conversations she had with him.
I remember him telling me via Facebook that when his wife was running for office, and he was so very happy and so very proud of her.
Richards says the Millbrook High School community is looking for a way to come together and grieve the loss of the couple.
Police in Henderson are looking for a man they believe is responsible for shooting and killing two people. Investigators say they arrived at that scene on Maple Street just before 7 o'clock last night. And that is where they found the two people killed, 63-year-old Teresa Davis and her son, 26-year-old Joseph Jeffries Jr. Now, an arrest warrant was issued for 41-year-old Michael Wright. And police say that Wright was last seen in a white Hyundai Sonata with NC license plate KEE 6554. They say he should be considered armed and dangerous. And if you see him, you are urged to not approach him. Anyone with information on his whereabouts can call 911 immediately. And a man was shot in the chest in Raleigh. And police say that happened just after 2:30 yesterday morning on Star Street. That man was taken to the hospital. And so we are working to find out if police have any information on a shooter.
The conflict between Israel and Iran has entered a fourth day. Emergency services in Israel reported at least 4 people were killed early this morning in an Iranian strike. Now, the two began exchanging strikes after Israel launched a series of strikes Friday. Multiple top Iranian military officials were killed. At least 18 people have been killed in Israel since the conflict began, and Iran's health ministry has reported more than 220 deaths from Israeli attacks. Gas prices are spiking as Israel and Iran target each other's oil refineries. Check it out here. The average price for a gallon of regular gas in North Carolina is now $2.87. That's up 7 cents from a week ago. In Raleigh, it's up 4 cents in the past week to $2.90. And nationwide, it's up 2 cents to $3.14. An analyst for Gas Buddy predicts the cost could go up by 30 cents by July 4th.
It is officially summer break for many students in the Triangle, and that means summer camps start today. It's the first day of Triangle YMCA youth camps. And these camps provide archery, swimming, arts and crafts, and many other opportunities to make friends and memories. Camps serve Wake, Johnston, Durham, Lee, Chatham, and Orange counties. And if your children are not already signed up, folks, it's not too late. The YMCA says space is still available. The Triangle YMCA is also offering other summer events, including sports teams and swimming lessons.
The Wake County Board of Commissioners is meeting this afternoon. Board members are expected to talk about the use for funds tied to the state's opioid settlement money. Now, according to the agenda, the board is being asked to approve a funding plan for its settlement fund for 2026 and 2027. The money stems from a federal lawsuit against several drug manufacturers. The state of North Carolina received $1.5 billion, with more than $67 million heading to Wake County over the next 18 years. That meeting is scheduled to start at 2 p.m.
Also happening at today's meeting, the board is expected to finalize an agreement between RDU and the county, and they'll address how to develop more than 130 acres of recently closed Lake Crabtree Park. WRAL has reported on the plans to develop that land from the park into what the airport calls an innovative entertainment destination. Hikers and bikers criticized that decision to close part of the park a few weeks ago.
Covering Fayetteville, here's a heads up for drivers this morning. Crews are preparing to shut down a portion of Rose Hill Road for the next 2 weeks in order to build a roundabout. That intersection of Rose Hill Road and Tamarack Drive will be shut down until July 2nd. There will be detours onto Shaw Mill Road, Murchison Road, and Country Club Drive. Officials are warning of a longer commute during this project. This is one of 2 planned roundabouts projects in Fayetteville this summer.
Times at 8:11, empowering state legislature. State lawmakers are considering a bill that would do this at the expense of removing certain powers from the governor. Join us in just minutes for an explanation of that bill.
And road repairs. State officials were in western North Carolina to give an update on the state of the roadways after Helene.
And another shot of showers and storms. We'll time it out and show you when there's a flood risk in our area again. And then I'll show you when the hottest days of 2025 so far are here in the Triangle, coming up in a few minutes. 8:14, some of the showers and storms that were previously in the area have dissipated, and we still have a front that's nearby. It's going to help to trigger more showers and storms, especially as we head into the evening. So the next several hours are pretty much completely dry. As we head toward 3 or 4 p.m., some isolated showers and storms. And then as we go beyond that time frame, that's when about 50 to 60% of our area dealing with some very heavy rain. You feel how humid it is outside. You're going to be looking at the chance for some flooding once again today, much like we saw yesterday. That's why today is a continuation of a WRAL weather alert day. Prior to that, though, going to be sticky out there. So if you have to be working outside, hydrate early and often. The heat index between 95 to 100 degrees. I'll show you when more of us see that feels like temperature in the triple digits coming up. Ken?
All right, Chris, we're tracking some traffic trouble in I-40 eastbound, really around Highway 54 around Fayetteville Road as a result of a crash in the eastbound lane. Here's what it looks like, courtesy of the live cam network. You saw the delays right there. At least one lane is blocked with first responders working this crash scene. You can see they're still trying to figure out exactly how to clear that crash out of the way. It's going to take some time really right now. So if you're heading out this morning, particularly from Chapel Hill, you're looking at almost a half-hour delay. So keep that in mind. I'll have an update in less than 5 minutes.
Keep those notifications on, folks. Ken's watching your back out there. A final vote is approaching for a bill that would block new rules proposed by state agencies that Governor Josh Stein oversees. GOP lawmakers say the so-called RAINS Act would create more accountability by giving power to the legislature. They also say fewer regulations should help lower costs for businesses. But critics fear environmental protections, public health, and public safety could be at risk. Plus, consider that WRAL Capitol Bureau Chief Laura Leslie says this bill is also clearly about state lawmakers taking more power away from the governor.
The legislature has been really loath to share power with the governor, and that doesn't matter whether the governor was a Democrat or a Republican or whether they were of the same or different parties. It's been a constant tension. I think it's been a little bit more of a tension, however, given the fact that we've got a current Republican leadership in the legislature who really wants to take the reins of the state, and we've got some Democrats who've been in the governor's mansion who have pushed back.
And Governor Stein would almost certainly veto this bill. Republicans would only need one Democrat in the House to override that. And for more on that debate, you can go to the NC Capitol section of WRAL.com.
The state transportation secretary visited western North Carolina for an update on Helene recovery. Secretary Joey Hopkins says the region's recovery efforts are seeing progress, but there is still a long way to go.
My overall impression is progress. I mean, it's been 8 months since the storm hit late September last year, and everywhere we go, we see continued progress. And what we need to do is continue to put a focus on Western North Carolina. We need to come here, we need to spend our money here, support the local businesses.
And here's why he's saying that. The DOT says Helene caused more than 1,400 road closures. All but 39 are now fully back open. 4 of them reopened this past week.
Democratic Congresswoman Deborah Ross is hosting a discussion today about potential effects from federal level cuts, as in effects of Medicaid and Medicare on our state among people with disabilities, seniors, children, and hospitals. Ross will join State Health Secretary Dev Sangbai for that event in Raleigh. And this is all a part of state and local health leaders examining the recently passed House Republican budget proposal known as the Big Beautiful Bill.
In Fayetteville, Fort Bragg is telling the community to expect some loud noises this week as training takes place. People who live in the area around the post could hear booming explosions and gunfire through Saturday. President Donald Trump is in Canada to meet with other world leaders during the G7 summit. This is the first G7 of Trump's second term. Leaders are expected to discuss the recent developments in the Middle East, as well as ongoing negotiations to end the war between Russia and Ukraine.
A Raleigh man spent his Father's Day weekend helping new dads navigate fatherhood for the first time. After seeing that there were not many community groups for dads, William Folston decided to start the Raleigh Stroller Society. Folston, whose daughter was just born earlier this year, says this new group is a safe space for men to talk and walk and stroll with their kids, all while fostering new connections.
I think this is important because I think there's not enough emphasis on men's mental health. So I think we need to rely on each other. We've become so disconnected nowadays in society.
So I'm a new dad, and this is pretty awesome. Mr. Folston, please message me on Facebook. That sounds awesome. This weekend, I should say, dozens of dads showed up for only the second gathering of the Raleigh Stroller Society, and Folston hopes that he can continue to reach more and more dads.
Love it. Well, a magical moment at the U.S. Open for J.J. Spaun. He got to the hole 18 with the one-stroke lead and put the tournament away by making a 64-foot birdie put to clinch the win. Now, he was the only golfer to finish the tournament at Pennsylvania's Oakmont Country Club with a score under par. It is his first major win of his career.
Don't know if you really want to go out to hit the links today. I mean, maybe the green's probably going to be wet if you're out
Typically,
about today.
they get out there early, but like you said, it could already be saturated. Let's get right over to meteorologist Chris Michaels. What's your golfing forecast, Chris?
Yeah, I don't think any golfers are going to complain, although hot and humid ahead of more of those downpours. A new flood watch in effect until 2 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. That could lead to some road closures. We saw some examples of that overnight last night into early this morning. The timing looks to be mainly geared toward the evening. Here's Futurecast, maybe a stray shower just because of how humid it is at noon. 3 p.m., about 30% of the area dealing with that sporadic kind of activity. And then as we go beyond 6 or 7 p.m., that's when we expect most of the storms to be building in right along a front. So when you see this heavy rain moving over the same areas, it produces the chance for some flash flooding heading into the night. And that threat looks to be near and to the south of I-40. Then by first thing tomorrow morning, we'll start things out dry, but once again, it's going to be muggy. Difference is by tomorrow, there's nothing to really tap into the heat and humidity. So our storm chances, we'll call them only about 30%, whereas this evening they're at about 60%. It allows us more time to really heat up. The heat index by tomorrow is going to be in the triple digits. Wednesday and Thursday, it'll be in the triple digits as well. So it's not necessarily dangerous, but this is where you want to start using extra caution, especially if you have to be working outside. That heat builds ahead of another storm system that by Thursday is now outlooked with the potential for some strong to severe thunderstorms. That would be late Thursday into Friday, and then finally a break in storm chances. But the heat and humidity, we're not getting a break from that. Mostly cloudy right now at RDU, 78 the current temperature, and when the dew point's in the low to mid 70s, that's the air that you can really feel as you're stepping out into it. Plenty of time to hit the pools. Temperatures upper 80s to near 90 degrees, kind of a similar feel to what we had out there yesterday. But again, as we settle into the evening, you'll notice our shower and storm chances really start to climb, and temperatures start to climb this week. Look at that, highs 90 to 95. Of course, it's not a dry heat around here. It's a wet heat, and you're definitely going to be feeling that. Hey, by the way, Friday, first day of summer, we're getting the hang of things ahead of that day.
Oh, yeah, it's going to feel that way. Hey, listen, we're tracking a real trouble spot at I-40 eastbound, right around Highway 54 because of this crash. You can see the huge delays it's causing all the way back to where you pick up Highway 54 there in Durham as well. Here's what it looks like, courtesy of a live cam network. You see at least one lane is closed as first responders continue to work that scene to try to figure out how to clear it in a little bit. But you can see the bumper-to-bumper traffic that it's causing. You can see a school bus there right now. If you're coming in from Chapel Hill this morning, look at that. You're looking at a 40-minute delay on I-40 eastbound. So keep that in mind if you're about to head out this morning, because it doesn't look like it's going to clear up anytime soon. As far as going in and out of Durham on I-885, you're going north, you're looking at a 4-minute delay. If you're coming out of Durham trying to get to I-40 from I-885, you're looking at a 2-minute delay. In terms of other major routes coming into the Bull City, here's what we're looking at. In terms of the capital city, I should say, you're looking at very little to no delays, just a 3-minute delay if you're coming in from Wake Forest this morning. So not a bad opportunity for you this morning. Quick alert to tell you about a traffic alert. Starting tonight and until the 22nd, the I-440 westbound ramps will be closed to Six Forks North. It'll be closed from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. So if you work nights, keep that in mind. They're going to be adding an extra right turn lane at that intersection.
Search for a suspected gunman. Police are looking for the man they believe is responsible for killing 2 people in Vance County.
And cat slipper scam. In the next hour, 5 on your side alerts you to the latest TikTok scheme tugging at your heartstrings and convincing you to buy into fake causes.
Stay safe with the latest WRAL Weather Alert Day info. Get up to the minute weather and traffic conditions when you get in your car. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM, in Durham 96.5 FM, and everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Good morning. The time is 8:26. I'm Laura Levine. Let's get to meteorologist Chris Michaels with the forecast. Chris.
And Laura, here's what's new this morning. A flood watch in effect until 2 o'clock tomorrow morning. Mainly a hot and sticky afternoon. Most of the storms we see developing during the evening. Just make sure that you have the WRAL weather app in case any alerts are issued for your area. In terms of the timing, our storm chances are pretty low through 2 p.m. A few sporadic downpours after 3 p.m., but it's really after 6 or 7 o'clock that we see the majority of our storms pushing through, and that gives us that chance for some localized flash flooding. So we'll show you that on Futurecast over on Fox 50, and we'll show you when the hottest days of the year are set to come. Ken?
Happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center, real trouble spot on I-40 eastbound because of this crash right now on I-40 eastbound right there at Highway 54. It's causing quite a bit of delays in that area, as you can see right now. Let's go out and give you a live look, courtesy of our live cam network. You can see at least one lane is closed. The ambulance just showed up. We've got calls into Durham Police to figure out exactly what's going on so we can let you know. But right now, expect some huge delays in that particular area, because if you're coming in from Chapel Hill right now, you're looking at almost a half-hour delay on I-40 eastbound.
Police in Henderson are looking for a man suspected of killing 2 people. A warrant is out for 41-year-old Michael Wright in the deaths of 2 people and a shooting on Maple Street. Wright is considered armed and dangerous. The Wake County Board of Commissioners is expected to finalize an agreement about how to develop more than 130 acres of the recently closed Lake Crabtree Park. There are currently plans to redevelop that area called an innovative destination. Next on Fox 50, the Raleigh community that's mourning the deaths of a Minnesota lawmaker and her husband.
Our weather alert day continues as we track this system that brings the chance for some localized flooding once again. We'll time this out hour by hour and show you where there's a new flood watch in effect coming up.
And all the heavy rain we've seen has caused some neighborhood flooding. This is a live look in Wilson this morning. What people there are experiencing as they wake up.
And police are searching for a man in our area who they say should be considered armed and dangerous. 2 people are dead, and now authorities are asking for your help to track down the suspected gunman.
And in custody, the man accused of politically charged assassinations in Minnesota captured. What we've learned about the suspect as authorities try to learn the reason behind these shootings. We have those stories and more coming up in just a bit. Thank you for joining us on your Monday morning. I'm Laura Levine, in for Michelle McConaughey.
And I'm Chris Levingood. And right between us, this giant, massive graphic, obviously a WRAL weather alert day. You're wondering, well, didn't that already pass overnight? It's what's coming later in the day that Chris Michaels is tracking.
Exactly, yeah, because there's a new flood watch that's in effect, and I'll show you where that's in effect coming up in like a few seconds. But you can already tell that the ground is pretty waterlogged, especially as you go north and east of Raleigh. Areas like Wilson, Nash, Edgecombe, parts of Halifax, Northampton counties have seen about 2 to 4 inches of rain, some of you even more than that. As you go south of Wake County, the rain totals for the most part have not been as impressive, but still parts of the area can't take much more water. Flood watch is in effect for pretty much our entire viewing area until 2 o'clock in the morning Tuesday, but most of the rain that we see is going to be later in the day. So the top part is what we see today, and you notice that our storm chances will be highest as we head into the evening. Then by tomorrow, it looks like our chances are a little more isolated, but that brings about some higher heat. In fact, the heat index getting above 100 degrees tomorrow, and there's some even hotter weather in the forecast over the course of the next 1 to 2 weeks. So we'll show you how often we cross that triple-digit mark coming up. Ken?
Hi, Chris. Happening now with the WRAL Traffic Center. The real trouble spot is to the east of, I should say, on I-40 East in Durham this morning. Right there at Highway 54, as a result of this crash, you can see the huge delays it's causing all the way back to Old Chapel Hill Road there in Durham. Here's what it looks like. At least one lane is blocked. You can see the ambulance just showed up, and other first responders are right there on the scene. Traffic is getting along, albeit very slowly in that particular area. If you're coming in from Chapel Hill this morning, here's what you're looking at. You're looking at almost a half-hour delay on I-40 eastbound, so keep that in mind as you're about to head out. In terms of isolating I-885 this morning, because I know a lot of people use that route to get in and out of Durham, you're looking at a 4-5-minute delay if you're using I-885. If you're heading to I-40 on I-885, you're looking at a 4-minute delay. Not really that's going to make you late, but it's something that I definitely want you to know about. In terms of the capital city, the really only trouble spot, if you call that a trouble spot, you got a 3-minute delay coming in if you're coming in from Wake Forest this morning. You're getting ready to head out the door. Tune us in on the radio. We always got you covered, 101.5 HD3.
Some people in Wilson are waking up to flooding this morning from last night's storms. In fact, WRAL's Kelsey Coffey is there this morning. Kelsey, it's been very interesting. When we first saw you maybe an hour or so ago, we saw plenty of water on that street, but it's been receding since you've been there.
Yes, Chris, it has. I'm even now able to stand here in the middle of the road, but you can see that there is still some water that's left here on Starship Lane in Wilson County. We were able to speak with some neighbors earlier this morning, and they said this area floods often, but today in particular has been one of the worst days that they've seen in a while. So we spoke with Janice Marshall, who says she was not able to drive through earlier this morning because of the flooding. She was running more than an hour late for work, and she says not being able to leave her own neighborhood is a safety concern.
When I went outside and it was flooded, I was like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. And it was just like more so, what if something happened? Or what if an emergency happened?
So now neighbors should be able to easily get through this here. But our meteorologist team says that there's been anywhere between 2 to 5 inches of rain between Wilson, Nash, and Edgecombe counties. So we'll be sure to keep you updated on the progress here. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Wilson County.
Now to more breaking news. People in Franklin County have their power back on after an hours-long outage this morning. Ali Katlabar was there in the WRAL Breaking News Tracker talking to people who were affected.
Yes, power was finally restored to about 870 customers here in Franklin County. One of those customers, Duke's Minute Mart here, impacting their morning as well as this stoplight. It's now back on, but it was down for hours. Cars and trucks plowing through that intersection. Now take a look at this video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. It shows utility crews trying to find the cause of this outage around 6:30 this morning. They later determined the cause was from downed or fallen limbs, damaging the equipment there. We spoke with resident Tony Holmes, who says he was inconvenienced by this outage, which started around 2:30 this morning.
Oh man, I'm late for work, but it's okay. I put time in for it. Had to feed my dogs and give them water. They're gonna be off schedule, so let's hope we come back to a clean house. So yeah, pretty much all my morning.
Now, Holmes says outages in this area, even from storms, aren't often, but he says that this one did impact his morning as well as hundreds of others in Lewisburg. Reporting in Franklin County, Ali Kadlabar, WRAL News.
New this morning, we're getting our first look at the mugshot of a political assassination suspect in Minnesota. This is Vance Bolter, and he's being held in a $5 million bond, and he will be in court today. Now, shortly before midnight, authorities provided an update on what led to his arrest. They say he was captured yesterday after a 2-day massive manhunt across Minnesota. Bolter is accused of killing State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband, a Raleigh native, and he's also accused of injuring another state lawmaker and his wife in a second shooting. Authorities say they found Bolter after locating an abandoned car that he was believed to have used after the attacks. And because of a tip from someone, they were able to track him in some woods.
We are confident that the violence that he committed and the murders he committed and the attempted murders, that he conducted that activity alone. We will be exploring if there are any broader network. We have not uncovered any of that at this time.
Officers say Bolter was armed when he was taken into custody, and a criminal complaint reveals that after his arrest, officers found at least 3 AK-47s, a 9mm pistol, and a kill list in his car.
Meanwhile, people across our area are mourning the loss of the Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband, Mark. Mark Hortman was a Raleigh native graduating from UNC Chapel Hill in NC State. He spent many of his early years on the campus at Millbrook High School, graduating in 1984. Alongside many classmates who are mourning his loss right now, WRAL spoke with one of his former high school classmates, AJ Richards, who shared the things that they loved about the Hortmans.
To lose a friend that we've grown up together and just had so many fun things that we did together at school as a whole group, everyone is very much grieving right now.
She says this tragedy has connected the Millbrook High School community. She says they are looking for a way to come together and grieve their losses together.
Police in Henderson are looking for a man they believe is responsible for shooting and killing 2 people. And authorities say that they arrived at that scene on Maple Street just before 7 last night. And that is where they found the 2 people killed, 63-year-old Teresa Davis and her son, 26-year-old Joseph Jeffries Jr. Now, an arrest warrant was issued for 41-year-old Michael Wright. And police say that he was last seen in a white Hyundai Sonata with NC license plate KEE 6554. They say he should be considered armed and dangerous. And if you see him, do not approach him. Anyone with information on where he is can call 911.
Jeff Hogan at the WRAL Live Center. Some brand new information coming in, interesting and disturbing. An Air India 787 Dreamliner that left Hong Kong this morning, headed for New Delhi, had to turn back because of a technical issue. Now, last week, you remember the India flight that was headed for London, same aircraft, 787 Dreamliner, crashed just minutes after takeoff, killing 241 people. This flight turned around and was able to safely land. One of the pilots told the air traffic controllers about 15 minutes after takeoff that for technical reasons, he didn't want to go any further, wanted to stay close to Hong Kong, possibly return and sort out the problem. Air India said that flight landed safely and was undergoing checks as a matter of precaution.
Goodness. So close together, these situations. All right, thank you, Jeff. Israel and Iran are exchanging a new round of attacks as that conflict enters its 4th day. The number of deaths is rising on both sides. At least 224 people have been killed since Israel began striking Iran last Friday. And Iran's strikes this morning hit an Israeli oil refinery and damaged part of the power grid. People in Tehran are trying to escape the city there. And President Donald Trump and other leaders of the G7 are gathering in Canada for a summit, and they will discuss this conflict. Another big day for Wake County senior high school students. High school graduations are happening today at the Raleigh Convention Center. And today's ceremonies kick off at, actually, they're kicked off at South Garner High School, I should say, as of 8 o'clock this morning. Heritage, Wake Forest, and Cary High cross the stage later today. We'll be watching for that. And Longview School holds its ceremony at 10 a.m. on campus. Congratulations to the class of 2025.
A big vote is expected today at Durham City Council. Members are set to decide on a $1.5 million loan request from the Durham Housing Authority. If approved, the city manager would be authorized to move forward with the funding and make necessary changes as long as it doesn't increase the city's financial burden. It is a step toward boosting affordable housing in the area. Deadly flash floods leave behind devastation in West Virginia. A look at that widespread damage.
TikTok scams. Viral videos are fooling people into giving money to fake causes. 5 on your side's Keely Arthur explains what you need to know before you click.
And today is a WRAL weather alert day. As we give you a live look at Warrenton this morning, you can see a little bit of rain on the lens. Meteorologist Chris Michaels is back after the break tracking the flood risk we are facing today and when downpours will increase that risk.
8:44 this morning. Within the last half hour, a few downpours right on the Franklin and Warren County line. We saw a few raindrops on the lens of our Warrenton camera just a few moments ago. Nothing severe, not causing any flooding, but that's our 20% chance that we've got for the next few hours. Chances will really start to rise as we head into the evening when you've got the heat, the humidity in our front nearby to cause that chance for some more flooding. That's why our weather alert day continues throughout the day today. More of that tropical moisture flowing in from the southwest over the course of the next few days will keep our storm chances in the mix. And then finally, storm chances break up a little bit as we head into Friday. And the clouds trying to break up a little bit over southeastern Wake County. Currently 79, feels like 82. The heat index today making it into the mid to upper 90s once again. Ken?
All right, Chris, we're staying on top of that situation in I-40 eastbound right there on Highway 54. You can see this crash that's causing this huge backup all the way back to Old Chapel Hill Road there in Durham. Let's take a live look at that scene right now, courtesy of our Live Cam network. You can see at least one lane remains closed. The ambulance still on the scene as first responders work that scene. I'll have an update coming up in about 10 minutes.
Starting this morning, construction could affect your morning commute in Durham. Hillsborough Road will be closed near Trent Drive for up to 9 days, and that's because teams are replacing an underground water pipe. Just so you know, a detour is in place that will take you on West Main Street.
Thousands of people lined the streets and marched in central North Carolina over the weekend. This comes as the No Kings protests have been popping up across the nation. They joined millions showing opposition to President Donald Trump's policies. Now, over in Raleigh, people lined Capitol Boulevard with flags and signs, and thousands of protesters gathered in between Old Wake Forest Road and Oak Forest Drive. Sky 5 was over that scene in protest shortly after it began. It was a lively crowd, which kept growing for several hours.
In Durham, we saw a similar scene from Sky 5. In fact, protesters gathered for a march through downtown. Thousands of people carried signs and flags, walking about a half mile from CCB Plaza to Durham Central Park. And in Cary, people lined sidewalks surrounding the intersection of Maynard and Kildare Farm Roads. Drivers honked their horns while passing. Protesters were there, and these protests come on the heels of others last week. And as the North Carolina General Assembly approves 2 immigration bills that are now heading to the governor's desk.
Okay, listen to this. Misleading TikTok videos are tricking people into supporting fake causes. 5 on your side's Keely Arthur explains what to watch out for.
There's a formula to this scam. These videos show someone making an impassioned plea to help an older adult or support an animal shelter by buying a specific product. The thing is, the stories told in these videos are fake, and it's not clear exactly where your money is going.
Please share this.
Take a look at all these different videos we found on TikTok that feature George Safterites. They were all posted by different accounts trying to sell different products, and they all make different false claims.
There are videos saying that his wife has cancer and he's trying to make slippers to pay for her cancer treatment, and that's not true.
People are stealing my identity and using my identity, and I'm not what they say I am. And I don't like what they're doing, but how can you stop them?
Tonight on WRAL News at 6, we talk with George about his fight to get these videos taken down from TikTok. And we press the social media giant on what it's doing to prevent these kinds of scams. Keely Arthur, 5 on your side.
Today, we are watching for a verdict in the Boston retrial of Karen Reed, and the jury will resume its deliberations this morning. Prosecutors say Reed hit and killed her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, with her SUV. That was back in 2022. And her defense closed its case Friday the same way it began, by telling jurors there is no data showing evidence of a crash.
At least 5 people are dead and 3 missing after flash flooding in West Virginia. According to the National Weather Service, parts of Ohio County received between 2.5 and 4 inches of rain within a short period of time Saturday. Now, the area has major damage to roads, bridges, and highways. Crews couldn't even respond quickly to a lot of the incidents. West Virginia's governor has declared a state of emergency in at least 2 counties.
Southwest Airlines is adding additional safety measures to its planes. The Wall Street Journal reports the airline is adding a new cockpit system, and it's meant to help prevent dangerous situations during takeoffs and landings, too. The system will provide verbal and text warnings if a pilot is heading toward the wrong runway or is having other issues with the landing. And this is all happening after recent near-air collisions, including a plane that took off from the wrong runway in March.
A large wildfire is burning in New Jersey. The Mine-Spung wildfire has burned 5,750 acres and is 80% contained. The fire was first reported by a private aircraft flying over the area Friday. Fire activity remains limited, and it's not known yet how this got started.
Ooh, a magical moment at the U.S. Open for J.J. Spaun. He got to hole 18 with a one-shot lead and then clinched the win by making a 64-foot birdie putt. He was the only golfer to finish the tournament at Pennsylvania's Oakmont Country Club with a score under par. And actually, that's Spaun's first major win of his career. We are taking a look at what's trending this morning.
A member of the animal kingdom became a first-time dad and just in time for Father's Day weekend at nearly 135 years old. Goliath is a Galapagos tortoise who lives at the Miami Zoo, and zoo officials say that one of his eggs successfully hatched there back on June 4th. A Father's Day this year also happened to fall on Goliath's 135th birthday.
Did he call the little one David by chance? I don't know. That's my only dad joke I can come up with. I bet 135 years, Goliath probably has way better dad jokes than I do.
That's a long time to live.
A long time, 135 years. I don't know. Chris, help me out. You've got to have a better dad joke than I just had there. I know you're brewing on one on this WRAL weather alert.
It takes time, but he's got to come out of his shell a little bit more.
Hey, there it is.
There you go. All right, let's focus on the rain that's going on right now that we see in parts of Warren County. That's going to head closer to I-95 in between Enfield and Roanoke Rapids. Nothing severe, not going to cause any flooding. It's just the one thing that we're tracking right now. Additional showers and storms as we head into the evening. New this morning, we've got a flood watch that's in effect really from Greensboro all the way to portions of the coast. And of course, that includes here in the Triangle and in the Sandhills. So let's go ahead and show you futurecast. We stand the chance of just a random stray shower really at any given point today. But once you have this front nearby, what it does is it takes our heat, it takes our humidity, and it kind of wrings it out like a wet towel, right? So we get more numerous showers and storms as we go beyond 6 or 7 p.m. My initial thinking is that the best chance for flooding is going to be near and to the south of I-40 as we head into the nighttime hours. And then as we head toward tomorrow morning, we'll start to dry things out. Now, as we head toward tomorrow, still going to be plenty hot, plenty humid, but there's no front really nearby to give us numerous showers and storms. It'll just be some random pop-up stuff at about a 20 to 30% chance. So today, this evening looks a lot wetter than tomorrow. Roxborough 84 today, Henderson 86, the Triangle at about 90 degrees. Fast forward to tomorrow and everybody's hotter. We're looking at highs 88 to 93 and the heat just continues to build, especially by Wednesday and by Thursday, at which point the National Weather Service calls this a major heat risk, and that really pertains to those of us that just don't have proper methods to cool down. Of course, if you're going to be working outside in that kind of heat, you know the drill, just to be hydrating early and often. Currently 79, the dew point 74. The highest we get is between 78 and 80 degrees. So that's really a lot of moisture that's in the atmosphere, and it's going to make things feel very hot heading into the afternoon. Today, the heat index between about 95 and 100 degrees. Here's your 7-day forecast. Tomorrow, temperatures are going to be, again, a little bit hotter. We'll be in the mid-90s both Wednesday and Thursday afternoons. Looks like we see the chance for some stronger thunderstorms late Thursday afternoon, but beyond that, turning drier but staying hot. High temperatures 90 to 95 into the weekend.
Gas prices rising. How much analysts predict the cost at the pump could go up as the conflict in the Middle East grows?
And here's a look at your winning lottery numbers. Good luck.